And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We're recording now, live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube, so you can come by later and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We're now running about 800 or so QSO-VLOG Airchecks, and this afternoon we're also running 4 Internet SDR receivers, monitoring Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Alexandria, Virginia, and Milford, Pennsylvania, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. And today, a special thank you shout-out to all the folks at the Rochester Internet SDR facility for their great assistance and service. And now the audio from these 4 SDR receivers comes up on a 6-position rotary selector. Also on this selector is our local receiver audio. And today our local receiver is running 2 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, one aimed north and south, the other east and west. The north and south mag loop can be rotated. They are selected by a 3-position rotary selector. Position 3 on this selector is a co-phase option that many times is 3 to 4 dB hotter than mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. We do use a lot of rotary selectors in our shack, mainly because there's nothing faster than a rotary switch for comparing multiple signals. Well, those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. And now, let's check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up in the northern New Hampshire area, near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Ice up. The other day we picked up 8.5. The other day we picked up 8.5 inches of snow, but we've had freezing drizzle, and it's all over the antenna. And about 75% of my power is reflected coming back. And my and I don't think I'm putting out 200 watts. So the loading is way off until I get rid of the ice gem if it's stopping. KC9VKV, K1GZL, badly iced up.
Roger, Charlie. Do you copy me pretty good?
Roger, Charlie. Do you copy me pretty good?
Oh, yeah, you're 9, a little over S9. Beautiful copy, but in my case, I'm just can't load the rig at all, hardly.
All right, well, listen, from time to time we do get emails and comments, and I have an email that pertains to you, Roger.
No, that pertains to you, Roger.
Roger, that'd be interesting.
All right, it comes from, well, let me keep it secret who it is until maybe you can guess. It says, Jim, just listened to your June QSO with Charlie Morgan, K1GZL. FYI, 65 years ago, in Lake Mohawk, Sparta, New Jersey, Charlie, then known as Lenny, was my Elmer. He was then W2ZGG and lived with his folks. His father was W2MUP on the shores of the lake. I spent hours at his house listening to him work the world with a Globe King 500B and a Collins 75A3. Eventually, in 1956, I got my novice license as KN2RXY. He was then, as now, a dedicated wire antenna guy. Before he left New Jersey for Maine in 1956 or 57, he helped me put up a 2-element 40-meter inverted V-wire beam at my house, pointed north towards Maine, naturally. Through periods of action and inaction in the bands, I'd check in with him occasionally. He's 10 years older than me, and I'm amazed he's still at it up there in New Hampshire. Hopefully he's letting someone younger help him with that lovely wire antenna farm he has. I'm pretty much QRT anymore, so if you do QSO with him again, please tell him hello from George, K2RXY, still in Scottsdale, Alabama, Arizona. Roger?
Still, Alabama, Arizona. Roger?
Oh, yeah. Bill Seaton, yeah. He lived, about a half a mile south of me at Lake Mohawk in the woods. And, he used to come over many times. And about 10 years ago, I was working him in Scottsdale, Arizona, quite frequently, Jim. So it's a small world. It's a small world, and there's a lot of time that passes quickly. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that for sure, Charlie. I just had to pass that along to you. How many years ago was that?
How many years ago was that?
Oh boy, that's a good one. That is a good one. I would say, probably 1962. Wait a minute. It was before that. Oh shoot. It might have been 1957. So that was 1957. So that would be 62 years ago. 62 years ago. Gadzooks. Go ahead.
Roger. Yes, I just had a good friend that I haven't seen in 50 years, since 1967. We worked together. He was the chief engineer at one of the stations I worked at in 1967, and hadn't seen him since then. And he just gave me a call, said he found my address on my internet location, and gave me a call. So it was really, we tried to get together, but it being the Thanksgiving weekend or Thanksgiving Day, we just couldn't put it together. But we are going to try to get together and have dinner and reminisce about old times. But that's the thing about memories. You put them away and then bring them out from time to time and think about them. Roger.
Time to time and think about them. Roger.
I'll sign with you now, and I'll catch you hopefully next week. But I've got so much ice on the antenna. I don't have anything going out at all, hardly. But you're coming in fine. Here you are.
Occasionally, he's 10 years older than me, and I'm amazed he's still at it up there in New Hampshire. Hopefully, he's letting someone younger help him with that lovely wire antenna farm he has. I'm pretty much QRT anymore, so if you do QSO with him again, please tell him hello from George, K2RXY, still in Scottsdale, Alabama, Arizona. Roger?
Okay, Jim, I hope that came through with my very weak signal today. Everything is beautiful. The trees are full of snow, and we had 8.5 inches 2 days ago. Boy, did it come down. 70. We're clear at the moment, and thank you so much for picking me up.
Roger, Charlie. Well, you were getting out. I was getting about a 10 on you at the Milford, PA SDR, and then it kind of faded. And so I did go to my local magnetic loops in Kofei's position, and you were giving me a 7 there. So you are getting out. So thanks for checking in and saying hello, and we'll catch you next Friday. 3s for now. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. And this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. We so far have racked up about 800 and some odd QSOs in recorded fashion on our QSO-VLOG page. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And right now we're running, as I said, about 800 QSOs. And this particular one today today is entitled My Group Aircheck 112919, and with any luck at all, will be on page 1 of the our QSO-VLOG page when we post it. Usually takes us a couple of days to post it. Anyway, if you have a radio you want to check out or set up, give me a shout. KC9VKV. Got a couple of stations back in there. They're right at my noise level, though, but try it again. We'll see where it goes. KC9VKV listening.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. KC9VKV listening.
Kilo Alpha 5, Tango Bravo Lima. Kilo Alpha 5, Tango Bravo Lima.
Kilo Alpha 5, Tango Bravo Alpha. Is that a Roger?
Alpha, is that a Roger?
Tango Bravo Lima, Roger, Roger.
Bravo Lima, Roger, Roger.
QSL.
Okay, sir, what's the name there?
Okay, sir, what's the name there?
Name here is James Juliet Alpha Mike Echo Sierra, and I am from Point Blank, Texas.
Okay, I got your name as James, and what was your location again, or did you give it to me?
What was your location again, or did you give it to me?
Location is Point Blank, Texas, and I am running just strictly 95 watts with a ICOM 718.
Okay, James, I copy you're in Point Blank, Texas. I don't know whether I would want to live there or not. I hate to be in a situation where the name Point Blank comes up, if you know what I mean. Well, listen, what I'd like for you to do is give me about 10 or 15 seconds and tell me about your antenna system, and I'm going to look around and see if I can get a better signal on you, Roger.
And see if I can get a better signal on you, Roger.
Sir, up about 25 feet, and just strictly 95 watts with an ICOM 718. Over.
Roger, roger that, James. I did find you a little bit better on the Atlanta SDR. I did find you better on the Atlanta SDR. You're giving me about a 7 over the local Atlanta noise level, and I can copy you. Now, what radio are you running, sir?
I can copy you. Now, what radio are you running, sir?
I am running a ICOM 718 and 95 watts, sir. Over.
I copy a 718 ICOM. Is that a Roger?
Yes, 718 ICOM. Is that a Roger?
Okay, we have setups for radios. If you would be interested in maybe becoming a little bit louder, Roger, Roger.
Becoming a little bit louder, Roger, Roger.
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay, it starts with your compressor processor. Engage your compressor processor at about a 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100. 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100. About a third of its possibilities. Roger, Roger.
Its possibilities. Roger, Roger.
Yes, sir. That's the beginning of the process. Now, what I want you to do is go bring up your ALC meter. I want you to bring up your ALC meter, and with your mic gain in hand, I want you to adjust your level to where your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger? Roger, Roger, yes, mid-scale to 2/3, not in the red, but headed that way, you know, mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC meter, Roger? All right. Then I want you to go to your EQ. I want you to crank in about 2 clicks on the top end hotter than where you are. I want you to add 2 clicks of EQ boost on your treble control, top end control. Roger, roger. From the position that it is now, 2 clicks hotter on the top end of your EQ than what you are now. Roger, roger, James. I'm trying to get in for the last few weeks. I'm sorry you had such a trouble, but you know, my radiator is kind of set up for the East Coast, pretty hot from Montreal to Miami, with a hotter spot in North Carolina. So I do go. You know, we are located in Louisville, Kentucky, or beside Louisville. We're actually over in Indiana, about 3 miles from downtown Louisville, and our antenna radiator is set up for mainly going east towards the East Coast, and so I don't work a lot of west. But how's our signal out west right now? Roger, roger, James. Well, you know, I've just posted one of my all-time best tune-ups. You know, we do have, on our QSO-VLOG page, we do have about 800 QSOs, and a little over 800 QSOs, and most of those are tune-ups and setups of different radios. But this one is my all-time best tune-up. So if you go to YouTube, you do a search for RS 3235. That's a YouTube search for Romeo Sierra 3235. It's truly one of my coolest tune-ups, Roger. Yes, sir. You are about 4 dB above my above the Atlanta SDR noise level, about 4 dB. So you're at just bare minimum that I can copy you cleanly enough to hear your audio. And I'm thinking that right now you're in pretty good shape. Maybe you could check in. You know, that QSO-VLOG will be on YouTube in a couple of days. And so if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for that, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for an entity entitled My Group Aircheck 11/29/19, today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/29/19. Roger? It would be a call letter search. My call letter, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And repeat, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Roger, roger.
Roger. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And I've got that, and it goes to YouTube and do a QSO search for...
Yeah, BA. Search for QSO. Once you're on my QSO-VLOG page, you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/29/19, which is today's date. So if you just look for today's date, you should find it. Hopefully, YouTube will have it on the first pages. If it's not on the first page, you'll be on the second page. But you'll be looking for My Group Aircheck 11/29/19. Roger.
KC9VKV, this is Kilo Alpha 5,
Roger, Roger, James. Just in the nick of time. Looks like conditions are closing for Texas, but I'm glad you had a chance to check in, and we do a little work on your radio, and like I say, you can check it out on YouTube and see what you think. I wish we had a better signal, but I didn't have any other signal source that was better than the Atlanta SDR, and that is the thing about running four separate SDR receivers that we're monitoring, and it keeps us, with more options. And that's the thing. Nobody said that it's going to be easy, and that's why we have the two 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas. They also are really good at trying to copy weaker 100-watt stations. And 40 meters is not necessarily the kindest band for 100 watts. I have a saying that in the current conditions of 40 meters, 100 watts and 500 miles would get you 2 dB above somebody's noise level, and that is pretty often, unfortunately, the fact. And some folks say, well, it used to be that you could take 100 watts and in 500 miles and come in at 10 over. Well, I wish that would be true, but it doesn't seem to be quite that way, on our local situation. And so now I'm trying to figure out on my SDRs. I am working on. Two of them are down now, and I have still Rochester, New York, and Atlanta, which is just great. And I have an activity kick out on Milford, so I'll see if I can come back up on that. It's we play these games. I did get checked out on Rochester. I do have conditions that are very favorable all the time on Rochester, so I'm just happy about that. And Atlanta's holding in. Milford's back. I probably got about 10 minutes on Milford. And let me see about Arlington, if I can bring that back up. Arlington's back up. I think my tablet went to sleep, not totally, but just darkened its view. So anyway, this is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you have a radio that you want to check out, give me a shout. KC9VKV listening.
Whiskey 3, Golf Tango Romeo.
Whiskey 3 station, come back with a call sign again.
It is Whiskey 3, Golf Tango Romeo, GTR.
Roger, sir. What's the name there?
Name here is Scott. I'm located up in Maryland, not too far outside of Annapolis. I just put up a new antenna today. I'm talking to you on a Yaesu GX3000 radio with a HAL 781 microphone. And I put up a new end-fed antenna made by Maple Leaf Studios today. It's about 75 feet on one end and 20 on the other. And the sloper configuration, and so far it's been doing pretty good. But I figured I'd give you a call, and I could hear myself later on your show.
Roger, Roger. And just looking at you, you seem to be about 15 dB over my local noise level. I'm copying you on my two 10-foot magnetic loop antennas in the co-phase position, and you are about 15 over. Now, I'm looking also at your audio on a VU meter, and it does appear that you could use a little fattening of your audio signal if you might be interested.
Fattening, really? Most people tell me I already sound pretty fat, and That's almost too fat. Although I use the same setting for DX and also RegQ.
Absolutely. Well, your EQ is just spot on. What we recommend is that the beginning of our fattening process is a little work on the compressor processor, but we only want it at about a 3. You're barely in there, and you can never hear it working, but it does its thing at about a 3. Roger?
Copy that. I'll have to see what I have it set to and take a look. Do you have a lot of calls waiting on you right now?
No, we're just cooling it right here, talking to you, sir. If you would be interested, take a look and see what you got there. Like I say, we recommend a 3 on the compressor, Roger.
Yeah, roger that. I have some notes right here. Let's see. So I have the compressor set. Let's see. I forget. Do you know off the top of your head what the setting that is on the DX3000? Which menu number it is?
Oh, no. No, that's your department, Roger.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's item number 167, which I have set to 2, compression.
Roger. Well, is it tough to get to there?
Yeah, I'm looking right now while I'm talking to you, and I'm taking a quick look here. Let's see, item number 167. Let's see. That's part of the parametric EQ. Okay. I'm not sure which is the compression level, to be honest with you, on this menu.
Roger. Well, let me give you some notes, and then you can peruse, or whatever it is at your leisure, Roger.
QSO, that sounds good.
All right, we start with a limiter at about a 3. Insert limiter on at about a 3. From there, we move to the ALC meter. I bring up the ALC meter, and with mic gain in hand, adjust the ALC meter where it's reading mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3 by adjusting your mic gain control. Roger?
Yeah, copy that.
And your EQ sounds fine, so you won't have to mess with that. You just, those two things, and that will give you a 3 dB dynamic range. And that will mean that your average percent of peak modulation should be up there around 80-85%. Roger?
Yeah, copy that. And I'm still trying to figure out which is the compression. I don't see anything that actually does say compression on this one. It's been a while since I've been in the settings on this radio.
Roger, Scott. Can you get to your ALC meter? Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I'm viewing the ALC right now.
All righty, go ahead and adjust your mic gain for mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC meter.
That's kind of where it's actually hitting right now. It's just going to midway.
Roger. Well, we want it to be between mid-scale and 2/3. It's very important that be set exactly as that way to get and arrive at the 3 dB dynamic range. Roger. Mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC meter.
All right. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Hang on one second. Let me get out of this menu. All right, here we go. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check. All right. That's about 2/3. How does that audio sound to you now?
Roger, the thing is, what we're talking about is that's your ALC meter is looking at the output of your limiter, not your compressor, but your limiter. And what we're doing is just bringing that level up and letting the limiter work on it just a tad to get a better dynamic range. The unprocessed audio has about a 10 dB dynamic range. And if you interpolate that into a radio and transmit unprocessed audio, your average percent of peak modulation will be around 30%. So what we want to do is move your dynamic range from 10 dB to about 3 dB. And that would mean that then your average percent of peak modulation would be between 80 and 85%, and you would seem to be about at least twice as loud with finesse. Nobody can hear the compressor compressing, the limiter limiting. It just is that you're loud, and it doesn't sound like you're up against the wall ballistically. Roger?
Understand. All right, cool. Well, I can do that off the air, or at least off the airtime with you. Make the final adjustments. But yeah, I made that same adjustment on my 7300 radio about maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Probably should do that on the 3000 as well. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll look for the QSO on your YouTube channel show.
Roger, Scott. Well, three's that way, sir. Like I say, your EQ sounds fine. I don't think you'd have to do anything with that. It's just going to get louder and sound good. And like I say, we are recording now till 5. And if you wanted to check your audio, which is, sounds really good now. The only question I had earlier was that your limiter did not seem to stonewall quite as good as I thought it might. And usually that's because somebody's running a little bit less level than the mid-scale to 2/3. So when you start running mid-scale to 2/3, that limiter holds the peak right at the point, and there's very little blow-by. So anyway, we'll say 3s now, and hopefully you'll be able to check in with the YouTube and do that call letter search, KC9VKV, and you'll be looking for my group Aircheck 112919. So we'll say 3s for now. Have yourself a real good afternoon. Hopefully you're not suffering too much from over Thanksgiving consumption. I know I'm not moving around too fast. As a matter of fact, this morning was the only morning in a long time that I did not double check my 2 magnetic loop antennas, 10 foot in, so there's a lot of surface that tends to pick up anything like rain or the semblance of rain or the aftermath of rain or cold temperatures. There's a lot of things that affects the operation as far as the frequency stability of a 10-foot magnetic loop antenna. So we usually every Friday morning go out with the analyzer and tune those separately. This is a poor operation. We can't hardly afford a couple of $500 Russian auto-tune capacitors, so we have built our own, which is a step up. We actually have fins on our capacitors now. There in the beginning, we were using, let's see, what was that? A red gold tomato medium-sized can and a smaller standard-sized can of cut green beans, empty, of course, 2 leads on either one of the cans, and then the little can had about an inch clearance in the big can as it slid in, and then we took some silicone. There was a silicone mat that we got, and we cut the strips of the silicone mat just the size of the tallness of the little can, wrapped it around and sealed it with duct tape, crammed the little can in the big can, took it out, plugged it up, and the first shot out of the box was we were on 8 megahertz, and it was about 5 minutes till we had it tuned to 7188 on our red gold can tuning capacitor, and it did great. We could run for about an hour and a half at a kilowatt with only slight warming of the cans. So it was working pretty good there. I understand like kilowatt. About 30 kVA, somewhere around in there, is necessary for the clearance of that, which I think interpolates to about an inch, maybe slightly over an inch, inch and a quarter or something. So we had an inch of clearance between our 2 cans, and then we had that silicone wrap around the 2 cans as the little one slid into the big one, and so I think that probably added another 20 kVA. So I just imagine that red gold tomato can tuning capacitor had about a 50 kVA capability, but who knows? At least it was enough for a kilowatt, and we ran that way for quite a while, and we did a lot of tests on our magnetic loop antennas about the difference between magnetic loop radiation patterns and signal strengths at 700 miles versus our our dipole antenna, and now we have a very clean dipole antenna. It's set up for maximum radiation towards the East Coast. We're usually doing a 20 over from Montreal to Miami, with somewhat of a hot spot in North Carolina, and that's when we usually don't go west that much, but we do go up and down the East Coast. And so anyway, we are monitoring now on our 4 SDRs, so if you have a radio that you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. KC9VKV listening.
All right, very good to you, sir. Very good. This is Whiskey 3 Golf Tango Romeo. And I do have the ALC up right now, and I'm adjusting it while I'm talking to you again. I got it peaking probably a little further than it was before. It's not really wanting to go past halfway, though. It's going right to about the end of the white area, which is 9, staying below 20.
Roger, Roger. Now, do you have red marks for over?
No, it's kind of like it goes 1 through 9 in the white, and then it goes to blue.
All right, and what's the color in front of white?
It doesn't. It just kind of has a bar there, so it's just kind of, I don't know. This is the DX3000. I never really used the ALC meter much.
Roger. Yeah. Well, I would say in the before it gets to the white, you don't want to go into the white, Roger.
Yeah. So it's going about halfway. I mean, does the audio sound over modulated right now?
I'm copying somebody whistling. Whistler's grandmother is, please, this is an active frequency. Don't disturb an active frequency. Go somewhere else, up or down 4 KC or so. Anyway, it is sounding good, sir. I think you've got it going on. Just keep it in the good area there. Keep it out of the white, I guess.
Copy that. Yeah. All right, well, thanks for your help. I appreciate it. Whiskey 3 Golf Tango Romeo will be clear, and let you go on and make another contact there.
Roger, just FYI, your 100% mark is very repeatable, consistent, so your limiter is just working beautifully. It's not letting wide excursions go past the point that it has said that is the stone wall. So it's working just beautiful, Roger.
Copy that. All right, I'll leave it there. The mic gain is now up. I moved it from about 45 to 55.
Roger that. Sounds good. And again, if you check YouTube for the call letter search KC9VKV, you'll be able to discern your audio, and I think you'll like it.
All right, very good. Have a good one, and 73s.
Roger, Scott, 3's that way, sir. And just a reminder, this is KC9VKV. We're live till 5 and recording all the way. So if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV listening. And we just went through our 4 SDRs, and nothing in Milford Milford, PA, is not working at the moment. So let me just see why that might be. We're still trying to get passwords on a lot of these SDRs, or for the 4 anyway. So that helps a great deal. So we don't have to sit and play games trying to keep our SDRs running. But we still have Arlington, Rochester, and Atlanta, so I'm going to just let Milford sit by the wayside, although it is one of our I think, it's just a great SDR that copies the mail. What I do to figure out who's happening as far as SDRs, I wait till the band conditions are really active, and then I go searching through the SDRs, and the ones that really have great antenna systems and reception show up, because you can hear all this propagation on their on their receivers. So, and then the ones that are not that good, just it's like quiet. It's like doomsday, nothing stirring. So I want the ones that are more active, and I have found that Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Arlington, Virginia, and Milford are four of the best SDRs going, particularly in my area, and we're working up and down the East Coast from Montreal to Miami primarily. This is KC9VKV. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
You want to check out? Give me a shout.
There was somebody back in there, but I could not find you. Give me another try, slowly, phonetically, with your call sign, please.
Another try, slowly, phonetically, with your call sign.
No, nothing, not going to happen there. There was a station in there, but they were right at my noise level, and then they slipped under my noise level. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Romeo. Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Romeo.
The Whiskey 0 Golf station, come back with a call sign again, please.
Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Romeo. Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Radio Romeo. Over.
Roger, Roger. And what's your location, sir?
The location here is Bradford, Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, and the name here is Brandon. Bravo Romeo. November Delta Oscar November. Brandon. Over.
Roger, Brandon. Well, let's see. Gosh, I'm copying you on my magnetic loop antennas in the co-phase mode, and you're giving me, it looks like, about a 10 over, although conditions are pretty volatile as far as fading in and outs. Roger, Roger.
Roger. I copy you. Thank you for the 10 over signal. And sounds the magnetic loop sounds good. You're coming in as a strong 20 over. I'm currently running on a Elecraft K3. And the antenna is the guidelines of 180-foot tower, so each leg is 256 feet into a tuner that's at the top of the tower. So I'm running barefoot at 100 watts, but I'm running rig, but most of the time I run portable, so it's always great to run with a little bit better equipment. Over.
Roger, Roger, Brandon. Well, gosh, if I were copying the mail, if my Milford, PA SDR was up, I'm sure you would be taking my head off, since you're in Pennsylvania and probably, trimming the signal there. But Milford's down, and I am copying you, like I say, on my local magloop antennas. So if you would be interested in a fatter signal, we've got your answer. Roger, Roger.
Very good, yes. Thank you for the signal report. It's always good to kind of see how the station operates from out here. And we're just talking about the SDR. Is that personal that you use for remote operation, or is that through the web SDR service?
That's through HU SDR, SDR HU. We're running 4 internet SDR receivers on Arlington, Virginia, Milford, PA, Rochester, New York, and Atlanta, Georgia. They are internet SDR receivers, and they come up on a rotary switch, a 6-position rotary switch, along with my radio audio. And so when I'm looking for a signal better, I just rotate my selector, and I can sample these 5 signals in about a second and a half to compare who's doing what and how loud. Roger?
Very good. No, that sounds excellent. Yeah, I heard the Rochester, and I actually live in the Buffalo, New York area. I actually go to school, a graduate student at the University of Buffalo, and always looking for ways to demonstrate ham radio to people, and it's kind of neat to see what you can show in the area. And I was interested in that Rochester station, but it sounds like you have a great setup for being able to look at different propagations for around your region and do good sampling. So sounds good. Thank you.
Roger, only through the cooperation of the SDR folks, and we just want to compliment the folks at the Rochester SDR for being so courteous, nice, and helpful as far as being able to log on and not get kicked off. They've gone out of their way to help me, and so I really have a shout out for them this week, Roger.
Absolutely, sounds good. So thank you for the comeback, and wasn't sure what you were looking for here for just general check-ins or signal reports, but thank you for coming back and giving the excellent signal report here into Western Pennsylvania.
Roger, Brandon, and we do offer a tune-up setup service. Your audio, while I am getting a fairly good RF signal, your audio seems fairly loose. We could tighten that up and get you a little bit louder if you might be. Your audio right now has about a 10 dB dynamic range. We would want to fatten that up to about a 3 dB dynamic range, so you would appear about twice or so louder than what you are, and very clean. Exceptionally clean, hearing no compressor work or no limiter work, and it all starts with your compressor set to about a 3 out of 10 engaged on your compressor. Roger.
KD2AMZ.
Very good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's minimal setup on this radio, and I'm pretty sure there's no compressor set on it. I'm actually looking for the knob on this. I usually run a KX3, and so I'm a little bit more familiar with that.
KD2AMZ, KD2AMZ.
Station standby or active frequency right now. We'll get to you.
Okay, thank you. I'm testing my radio, please. Standing by.
So, Brandon, did you find your compressor?
I am looking for it now. It might be in the menu. I thought it was a separate button on the front of the KX3. I'm looking around. I believe it's in the menu. I'm going to have to look at that real quick. Stand by.
Roger, I'll tell you what, let me give you a couple of notes, and you can work at it at your leisure as you find things in your book, Roger.
Very good. Go ahead. I'm looking now.
All right, if you would take notes, first thing is to engage your compressor at about a 3. Engage your compressor at about a 3. Then move to your ALC, and with mic gain in hand, adjust your ALC to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. Adjust your ALC by way of your mic gain to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Roger. Engage compressor to 3, and then monitoring ALC. Set mic gain for mid-range to 2/3. Over.
Absolutely, you've got it there. And your EQ, I think, will be great. I don't think you have to change your EQ at all, Roger.
Roger, yeah. I dynamically change my EQ and my voice depending on the band conditions, just a little quirk I played around with. And so I know if I'm going for DX, I try and actually bring my pitch a little bit higher, give it a little bit more of a DX punch rather than fiddling around with the microphone. And then if it's a more stable network or stable relay between stations, I might relax my voice a little bit more to bring out a little bit more of the bass. But yeah, I usually try to leave the microphone flat, and my dad does the same, so that kind of helps. So thank you. I really appreciate the feedback on the EQ. That's always good to know. Over.
Roger. Well, like I say, what we do is take care of the dynamic range to where it's a 3 dB dynamic range, so it is a lot louder than unprocessed, but it's not up against the wall. You can't hear anything working. It sounds clean. It's just loud. And I think you've got a handle on your EQ, and however you work that. Thing is, when you add a fatter signal, your ability to shift that changes, and if you're doing something off axis to the microphone, you may turn up a little muddy. So I suggest that you always stay on axis to your microphone. Roger.
Very good. So when so I'm currently using a hand mic, but my dad also has it set up for using a Heil headset, and we're trying to get an old Kenwood desk mic set up. However, whenever I use a hand mic, I always was taught to speak across the hand mic rather than directly into the hand mic to limit the plosives and the sibilants that you get, and also to kind of prevent a little too much of the space. Is that correct? Over.
Roger, yes, across the mic, and it doesn't really attenuate high frequencies. I suggest actually bringing that mic up to a contact with your lip on the side and work across it. That's you do eliminate most of the transients, plosives, whatever. But also if you get a chance and go down to your friendly music store and get a foam windscreen, they make them pretty short these days, about 3 inches. And they will slip right over that hand mic, and that will take care of any of the last vestiges of transient noises. Roger?
Roger. Yeah. So when I speak with the hand mic, I usually, like you said, I put it up against my chin and up against the side of my mouth and speak across, so it's right there, and so I'm not talking too far away, and do that for drive-stream mobile as well. So thank you for the update on that. I appreciate it. And I didn't think about the windscreen from a local music store, but I can definitely snag one of those. I have one in my area as well. Over.
Roger, sir. Well, I think you got it going on there, and if you get a chance, you can. We are recording, so if you want to hear where you are right at the moment, you could go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for an entity called My Group Aircheck 11/29/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/29/19. Roger.
Go to your YouTube page, KC9VKV, My Group Aircheck 11/29/19. Definitely get into that. I'm still having trouble finding that compressor knob. I will find that on here. Oh, I found it. It's on the same as the power standby. I see that my compressor is set to 3. I'm actually going to bring that up to 6 right now, so I'm going to give a few checks. This is Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Romeo, Brandon from Western Pennsylvania, checking the compression. 1, 2, 3, over.
Roger, Brandon. Yeah, you want to put that on a 3. I don't want to hear that compressor working. You get up 6, 7, 8, and you start bringing up the wife beating the kids in the back room. I think a 3 is sufficient for the compressor. Set that for a 3, and then go to your ALC, and if you know where your mic gain is, bring your mic gain up to where your ALC meter is reflecting mid-scale to 2/3.
Very good. This is Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Romeo. Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Romeo, setting ALC. 1, 2, 3. Check. 1, 2, 3. Check. Is that over? Let me back that down a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Check. 1, 2, 3. All right. W0 GPR. Over.
Roger. Now, you don't want to do your announcer thing when you set that ALC. You want to speak naturally, just the way you normally do, on that microphone. You don't want to force the level or be soft on the level. You want the ALC to reflect your normal, natural situation with your mic. Roger?
Very good. So let me get a little bit more relaxed on that. And, okay, so I'm setting the ALC now, so it's a little bit more natural of a speaking voice. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is Whiskey 0 Golf Papa Romeo, checking 1, 2, 3. Is that better? Over.
Roger, it's still a little peaky, but we have a cure for it. Take your watt meter, where you can see it as you speak. Put that watt meter in PNP, as opposed to RMS. Put it in PNP, and so it'll move a little bit quicker. And then as you speak, you try to keep that watt meter in the sweet spot where you know where it is. Try to, with your voice, try to keep your watt meter in the sweet spot. Roger.
good. I am checking that now. It seems to be operating, keeping it in the sweet spot, I believe. I will have to check that at another time to make sure I have the setting correct. Over.
Roger. Now on your compressor, you have your reading is 0 to 10. Is that a Roger?
Correct. The reading on the compressor is 0 to 10, and it is set to 3. Over.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Okay. And then in your ALC is mid-scale to 2/3, correct?
Correct. The ALC is mid-scale to 2/3. Over.
Roger, Roger. Well, my work is done here, sir. It's up to you now, Roger.
Very good. Thank you so much for your help with that, and I appreciate. It's always good to have a trained ear and a watchful eye on the other side of the QSO to help with that. I really appreciate your help, sir. And I will definitely take a look at our conversation on your YouTube page, and as well as any info that you have on your QRZ page. Over.
Roger, Roger. Well, let me say threes to you, sir. Thanks for dropping by. If you get a chance, check in next Friday. We always love to talk to folks that have, our touch, so to speak, and find out what the conditions are and what they're, have been running into as far as folks commenting on their audio. Roger?
Roger. Very good. So thank you again. I will say 73 for now. And actually just got family just came back in. So thank you again. KC9VKV, this is Whiskey 0, Golf Papa Romeo, over. Clear.
Roger, Roger. Three's that way. Have a good afternoon. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. And if you'd like to hear one of my all-time best tune-ups, go to YouTube and do a search for RS3235. That's a YouTube search for Romeo Sierra 3235. It's truly one of my coolest tune-ups. This is KC9VKV. We're live till 5. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. KC9VKV.
Kilo Echo 0, Delta Golf Bravo.
Kilo Echo 0 station. Come back slowly, phonetically with your call sign.
Kilo Echo 0, Delta Golf Bravo.
Roger, Roger. What's the name there, sir?
Jim.
Well, I can remember that, I think, he said. But, after indulging in so much food for Thanksgiving, I'm not sure about anything, Roger.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you had a good one. That's the same I had here in Missouri.
Roger, I have a mother-in-law that I should have, I'm not going to say I should have married the mother-in-law, but gosh, what she does with fried chicken and cornbread is just amazing, Roger.
Well, it sounds like you need to have her just come visit a little more often, Jim.
Yeah, well, that's where we're headed. We were there yesterday for Thanksgiving. We're headed there again tonight for dinner. We usually have Friday evening dinner with the in-laws, so that's where we're headed later this afternoon, Roger.
That sounds like a good one. Well, Jim, I've talked to you in the past, but I've raised my antenna up and moved it around a little bit, and I heard you talking in here today, so I thought I'd holler and see if his signal's still coming in any better or is coming in worse.
It's coming in for sure. I'm copying the mail on my north-south loop antenna. Copying the mail on my north-south loop antenna, and you're about at least 12 over, Roger.
Yeah, it sounds like it's working all right then. Well, that's good to hear. I moved my 2-meter antenna. It's giving me trouble, and I decided I'm tired of messing with that, so I got the HF antenna up, dipole up, and I thought I'd holler at you. Hear how your Thanksgiving had gone, and just see if you could hear me today.
Roger, Roger, Jim. What's your location, sir?
Springfield, Missouri.
Roger, well, you're really making a great trip for there. My stuff is oriented towards the East Coast, from Montreal to Miami mostly, Roger.
Yeah, well, I've gotten into you when I tried here lately, so at least things are sounding pretty good that way. I'm glad to hear that.
Roger, Roger. Now, do you know where your EQ is on that radio?
Yes, I do.
You could, and I don't often say this, but you could stand just a couple of clicks more on the bottom end. You have a nice top end, very well articulated, but you could use just a little mellowing, a couple of clicks boost. What kind of EQ are you running, sir?
I'm on a 7300.
That makes it simple. 2 clicks, boost, bass, from where you are.
All right. I'll see what I can do with that.
Should I hang on?
Yep, that'd be good.
All right, there we are, hanging on. As Jim, with his 7300, reaches down and makes a correction on his, I think they call it tone control, and the bass adjustment on his EQ, and he's pushing his bass 2 clicks hotter than what it was.
All right, Jim, right there's 2 more clicks on the bass.
Oh, buddy, you've got a very, very beautiful signal now. It's got nice balance to it, Roger.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jim. I listen to you about every week, and I enjoy hearing what stations I can hear and what stations I can't hear. I always hear you, though, and I sure appreciate your help.
Roger, Roger. Well, Jim, if you want to check out your audio, if you go to YouTube and do that, call it a search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and then you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/29/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/29/19. Roger?
All right, Jim. I appreciate it. 73s, and you have a great rest of the weekend. I'll probably be listening again next week. You have a great one. Bye-bye. KE0DGB.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I just love that 7300. It has such a nice limiter. Just perfect limiter. It keeps that level peak right at the prescribed point. No blow-by, just right there. So you got the right radio, man. We'll say threes to you. Thanks for checking in. If you get a chance, join us next Friday. We are live till 5, but we start at 3:30, and a lot of times things are a little lighter in the earlier time period. So if the earlier you could check in would probably be the better. Since you're checking in from Missouri, we have exceptional conditions today for us radiating west and you radiating east. So, hopefully we'll have those same conditions next Friday. Threes for now. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.
Kilo 3 Delta Victor Foxtrot. Kilo 3 Delta Victor Foxtrot.
Delta Victor Foxtrot. Let me write that down. Give me the whole thing again, sir.
Sure, it's Kilo 3 Delta Victor Foxtrot. My name is John. Roger?
Roger, John. Beautiful, beautiful signal. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Wilmington, Delaware. Roger, Roger.
Wilmington, Delaware. Roger. And what radio are you running?
I'm running the Kembu TS590 Sugar Golf, and right now I'm using the vertical antenna Gap Titan DX, and also I'm using the Ameritron 1306. I'm pushing really, I think, around the 1300 watts in this moment. Roger?
Roger. Well, that could be why you're blowing me away, Roger.
Yes. Well, sometimes, and these days the band, they are so bad that you have to push sometime a little bit. Roger?
Every time you can. That's my motto. Roger, Roger?
Roger. But by the way, you're really strong, Chris. Unbelievable. You're really solid. I'm listening to you about 1 hour. You're really solid. 59 plus 20 in Delaware. It's unbelievable. Your audio is terrific. Roger.
Roger, I'm copying you 15 over. my local noise level. I can't give you a real S-meter reading, but my readings are pretty close to S-meter readings. The reason is that I run a very light RF signal in the front end of my radio to get as best signal as possible noise-wise, so I don't have any AGC suck up between words or any AGC. I keep it below AGC compression, so I get as near to as perfection as I can on the incoming signal. And like I say, then I rely a great deal. I run in attenuate, which I think that's a 15 dB or a 20 dB pad. And I have my audio and my RF control tied together. So when I bring up that, it's I haven't adjusted it in a year now, and I'm running, like I say, my RF and my AF together. I have both those pots taped together on the radio, and it just works so beautifully, Roger.
Roger, really, you're right. It works really beautiful again. It's really rarely when you can list somebody like you, and it's really nice. But yeah, I'm not using compressor. I'm using nothing. Just attenuator I'm using right now. Of course, I don't think it's a good idea to work with the compressor when you push a lot of watt like this, but I hope so. That's all. I'm not sure sometimes. Always I have a good result. Everybody says my audio is okay, but sometimes it's really nice to check with somebody he has really a knowledge, Roger.
Oh, Roger, yeah, I could say that you might be a tad hot in your ALC, but I wouldn't touch it. It's just a beautiful signal, sir, and I would leave it I would get the duct tape out, the Gorilla Tape, the Gorilla Tape out and tape it down.
QSO. Well, thank you so much for checking me in. It was really nice to talk to you. I'll let you go, so maybe other people, they need it much better than me, so you can help them. It was really nice. I will check on YouTube next week when you put the video in there. And I will try another time, and let's see if it's something maybe I have to do to adjust myself. All right, sir. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful weekend. Good luck for everything. K3DVF.
Roger. Now, we normally go for about a 3 dB dynamic range. If unprocessed audio is 10 dB dynamic range, we shoot when we do a setup for 3 dB dynamic range. I think you were probably running somewhere around 2.5, but like I say, just beautiful. And if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 11/29/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/29/19, Roger.
Roger. Thank you so much for the info. I will do that. I'm really curious to go there check. Thank you so much again, sir. Have a wonderful weekend.
Roger, John. Now, just one final parting word. If you have a foam windscreen in your vicinity, I would definitely use a foam windscreen. If you don't, if you go down to your local music store, and they have all kinds of foam windscreens, all different colors, and I would get one, and that would clean up the last vestiges of any transients or mouth noises on that microphone. Roger?
Roger, yeah, we'll check that. My problem is I'm legally blind. Sometimes it's not easy. I have to find somebody to help me. That's why it's really hard. I'm using the voice guide that I with this radio, but they don't do 100%. So, but I think I'm really close. What I did, I don't think I'm really close to be a little bit good way. Now, Roger.
Oh, Roger, I'm just talking about the last 2% of things that you could do to improve your radio. Maybe 1.5%. Don't worry about it, Roger.
Roger. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much again. I hope so you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you again. 73.
Roger, Roger, John, and thanks for the contact. You have a great day. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG page. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
W8 Peter William United.
That's W8 Peter. Repeat the rest.
W8 Peter William United.
Peter William United. Roger, Roger. What's the name there, sir?
The name is Victor, and we're located at Lake Conroe, Texas, 50 miles north of Houston.
Roger, sir. Boy, I'm going west. I'm going west today, and I usually don't go west. I go east mainly. Roger.
Roger, Roger. What's your call there again?
Our call here is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And I'll repeat, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Roger.
Roger on that. And you're located where?
Located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. We're just across the Ohio River from Louisville, about 3 miles away from downtown Louisville. Roger.
Roger on that. Good signal in here into Texas this afternoon. How do you copy me?
I'm copying you on my east-west mag loop antenna, and you're giving me about 12 over. Roger.
Roger on that. We're got 75 degrees here. We're running an Icon 7600 with a little power to a 05 43-foot vertical antenna.
Roger, Roger. Well, we do have a tune-up service if you might be interested. We increase the dynamic range to about 3 dB, which when we're finished, you would have about an average peak modulation of between 80 and 85%. And it starts with the compressor running at about a 3, just a token amount. Nobody would ever hear it, but it does at a 3 just what it needs to do. Roger.
Yeah, Roger on that.
And like I said, I don't know if you would be interested, but if we get that the compressor set to a 3 out of 10 or 30 out of 100, just a token amount, about a third of its capabilities, then we move to the ALC meter. Bring up your ALC meter with mic gain in hand and adjust your ALC meter to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3 by way of adjusting the mic gain control.
Kilo November 4.
Yeah, thanks for the offer there.
Kilo November 4, stand by.
So we'll let you go and try to pick up some more stations there.
Roger, sir. 3 is that way, sir. Have a good afternoon. This is KC9VKV, other station. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kilo November 4, Tango Tango America, located in Wilmington, North Carolina. Name's Daniel. Got a great signal on here, 20 plus over 9, and sounding great here.
Roger, Roger, Daniel. What radio are you running today, sir?
I'm on an ICOM 7300, stock ham mic going into an 811H Ameritron, and got everything cut back pretty low, just running around 250 watts right now.
Roger, Roger. Well, you know that 7300 is just ideal radio to set up. We've set up probably about 170 7300s and probably about 50 7610s. Roger.
Yeah, they seem to be a pretty hot commodity. I just got my general ticket back in June, and this was my first HF rig, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But when I was shopping around, this was everybody kind of pointing me in this direction, and one of the selling points was how good this radio would sound with the stock ham mic on sideband, and I haven't been disappointed.
Yes, sir. That is, they went out of their way to create the best mic for that radio in a stock situation. That hand mic is just absolutely ideal for the frequency response show-off of the radio. You know, the thing is, you probably either need to run a windscreen, a foam windscreen, or talk across the microphone. Most people, would just talk across it, bring it to their lips, to the side, and talk across it. Roger?
Yeah, I found also backing off the mic gain also helps. I'm probably, I don't know, 3 to 4 inches away from the mic and basically talking into about the side of the mic where the button on the side is where you key it. And I've got my mic gain at 20%, RF power's at 30, and compression's at 2.
Roger. Well, if you would be interested in a tune-up, it starts with that compressor at a 3. Do you know your way pretty much around that radio?
Yeah, I've been running a compressor around anywhere from a 2 to a 3. Let me see. Compression. That is the compression off right there. Compression is off. And I'll cut it back on right there, back at a 2. And that right there is a 3. On my compression on my meter, I'm just barely bumping somewhere around 5 to 10 on compression. And ACL is probably about 50 to 75% up to the edge of the red there.
Roger, your ALC meter?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is the magic point. You want to run that ALC by adjusting your mic gain to where it runs mid-scale to 2/3. That's the favorite spot there, mid-scale to 2/3. And if you're pretty much in that sweet spot, would be halfway between mid-scale and 2/3. Roger?
Yeah, that's right where it's at. On my voice peaks, it may be closer to the 2/3. And just talking right now, it looks like it's running maybe 50, 60% on the ALC, and just barely even bumping 5 on the compression.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I'm looking at your audio on a VU meter, and it's adjusted for 0 level, and so each peak of your words comes right to 0. There's almost no blow by. That's the beautiful thing about that 7300 and the 7610 limiter. It's very stonewallish, and when you set a point, it stays right there with almost no blow by.
Yeah, it's been a good one so far. I haven't had much use out of it. I've got a couple dipoles up. I've got one for 75, got one for 40, and I've got one for 20. They're all center-fed wires, coax feed, and they're roughly about 30 feet off the ground.
Roger, would they be dipoles?
Yes, sir. Center-fed dipole, flat top.
Yeah, Roger, it's hard, in my personal estimation, it's hard to get a more effective radiator than a dipole antenna. That's what I'm running right now, and my SWR is somewhere nominally about 0.02 reflected wave, about a 0.02. Very almost non-existent. I cannot see the reflected meter move in the key down, so it's that close. And I have done multiple tests with my mag loop antennas down the road about 600, 700 miles, AB between the mag loops and my dipoles, and I did find over a period of tests that indeed the dipole was, by and large, a hotter signal transmitted than the mag loops. But after saying that, we decided to use the mag loops in the receive mode, and they're just outstanding. We have 2 10-foot magnetic loops, and we have one oriented to east and west and the other north and south, and we have a co-phase harness where we can put the two together, and many times that co-phase will be 3 or 4 dB hotter than either one of the mag loops by themselves. Roger?
Are you on the mag loop now?
On the receive part, we are transmitting only on the dipole antenna. Roger?
All right, well, it's sounding great. Yeah, your transmit signal's great here. I've got you anywhere from a solid S9 up to a plus 20 at times.
Roger. Well, when we were building the station, our mantra was 20 over from Montreal to Miami and New York to New Mexico. The jury is still out on the New Mexico part, but we have verified the Montreal to Miami. Roger?
I'll tell you what, you're doing a great job here on the North Carolina coast around Wrightsville Beach and Wilmington. Great signal, great audio, and I hope mine sounds half that good out your direction.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, we do have a hotspot right at North Carolina because that is in the middle of our lobe. Roger?
Roger, roger. Yeah, I'm probably, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 miles inland from the Atlantic Ocean, right in between Carolina Beach and Wrightsville Beach, just off the intercoastal, maybe 20, 25 feet above sea level where I'm at. So got some good ground plane here, and like I said, my dipole wires are maybe 30 to 35 feet off the ground. And when I was first making some dipole wires, I was just using some 14-gauge wire from Lowe's and just splitting off my coax, soldered it, and cut it long, and started shortening it until it was where I needed it. But my first couple antennas were only about 10 feet off the ground, and I was working DX in Europe and all across the U.S. with it, and I was just amazed that little wire would do that.
Roger. Well, you know, everything moves by skywave, so height is not that important, only in the sense of being a reflector to increase the radiation skyward. But as far as height, you know, like 100 feet or so, really not necessary as far as copying the mail, because that signal's coming skywave, not ground wave, Roger.
Yeah, I've been pretty pleased with it. It's a new hobby to me. I kind of started out in CB radios years and years ago, probably over 20 years ago when I was in high school, and kind of got out of it and didn't really mess with it a whole lot. And we moved, and I kind of wanted to get a station set back up, and Citizens Band just seemed dead, and I'd always wanted to get my ticket, so I worked on it a little bit, and got my technician license back in April, general in June, and just been enjoying the heck out of this 7300.
Roger, sir. Roger, sir. And come back with your call sign one more time.
It's Kilo November 4, Tango Tango America.
And the name again?
Yeah, Daniel.
I've got that somewhere, but I do doodling, unfortunately, and sometimes my doodles get in the way of important things, Roger.
Yeah, I usually keep my little laptop over here pulled up with QRZ, but I actually spent Thanksgiving in the hospital. I had neck fusion surgery 2 days ago, and yesterday, just got home yesterday, and sitting here on the radio was kind of keeping me busy, but I think I'm going to have to cut this conversation. It's starting to catch up with me. Neck's getting a little sore from sitting here talking, so I'm going to take it back to the bedroom, and hopefully we can maybe do it again sometime. So I'll say 73s to you, and appreciate the QSO. KN4TTA on the Carolina coast after yours.
Roger, roger, Daniel. Well, if you get a chance, you know, we are recording from 3:30 till 5, and we have recorded our conversation. If you would like to hear your beautiful audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We're running about 800 some odd QSOs at the moment recorded, and but you'll be looking for an entity called My Group Aircheck 112919, and hopefully it'll be on page 1, if not page 1, page 2, but the title again is My Group Aircheck 112919. Roger?
I was writing most of that. Give me a call sign one more time, please.
Roger, roger. Call sign is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor.
All right, well, I'll definitely check that out, and I do appreciate it. And once again, 73s from North Carolina, and take it easy on that end.
Can you repeat this call?
Roger, roger, Daniel. 3's that way, sir. Have a good afternoon. Now, who is that out there that said I had hot spots everywhere?
I said you had hot spots everywhere. Kilo Charlie 3 Echo Papa Alpha, because you're putting out so much power. You're making my fluorescent light bulbs light up.
What's the name out there?
The name out here is David, like the one who killed Goliath. I was going to do it twice, but I couldn't do it.
Roger, roger, David. And whereabouts are you?
I'm 19 miles from Washington, D.C., keeping an eye on the criminals.
Boy, you have your hands full keeping the eye on the criminals. Oh, I don't know what to tell you. You have a full-time job there, my man.
Yeah, but they're so numerous. They're everywhere. I mean, my whole area works in Washington, D.C. Everybody in my neighborhood does. So I don't have a hard time. They seem to come to me with their stupidity.
Roger. I think we need some time restraints on folks that are into politics. I think we need some time factors. I don't think a person should go to Washington and be in Washington for the next 20 years. I think we need time restraints. I think maybe about 3 weeks. You know, I think they should be elected for about 3 weeks and get all done they can do in 3 weeks. Roger?
I even have a better idea than that. We should have no politicians in Washington. Every American should have a day where they have to be a congressman or a senator just for a day, or maybe a week, maybe a month, and get rid of the whole damn thing, and you'll see it turn around real quick. Exactly. At least they should be out of there before they find out how to manipulate the ropes. Roger? Well, I have opinions, and they're like worth nothing, you know. But it seems like everybody that goes in there poor comes out rich. How's that possible when you go in under poverty, but you come in rich? Even that hot AOC woman now, even she's got money rolling out her butt.
You are exactly right. It's something, maybe it's in the water up in Washington. Maybe it's in the water that they drink this water and suddenly they become wealthy. Maybe that's it, David.
Well, I think that could be it, but do they get money for speaking engagements? And that's okay. That's legal to take money for speaking engagements. And they get $100,000 to say that the sun is yellow. I mean, and someone out there pays them the money. I'm not paying them any money, but it ain't going to get any better. It's been this way since Alexander the Great. Some people lead, some people follow.
Some people got money, some people don't. It just depends on whether they've been in Washington for a few years.
Yeah, and as far as drivers, because they all drive down 29 where I'm at and down 95 to Washington, D.C., going 95 to 100 miles an hour, and you know what? They can't be late for work. If they're 15 minutes late, they don't even get docked for it, but they still run down there like idiots. I can't figure it out. When you can't be late, and you still try to make it on time, knowing that there's no time clock. Something sick about that. If I could be late every day to work, hell, I'd show up at closing time.
Roger, David. Well, you know, the good ones have a state police escort doing 100 miles an hour, Roger.
Yeah, and I often wonder, because they don't give any tickets on these roads. The roads are 29 here and 95, and nobody gets any tickets, because if they start ticketing these people who are going there, the officer that just gave the ticket's going to find out next week he don't have a job.
Yeah, Roger. Well, David, it's really been a pleasure, sir, and I'll leave you with your task of concentrating on trying to keep those guys straight up there in Washington, Roger.
Thank you very much, and my wife told me I can't castrate them. That was my idea, to castrate them all, but she said I can't do it, it's against the law. 73, and you have a good day.
Roger, David. 3Z Racer, have a great afternoon. I have somebody on sideband off frequency on this frequency. Stand by station, please. Station calling, sir. You're, I don't know what frequency you're on, but this is an active frequency, and I can copy your mail, so you must be on this frequency. If you would, this is active frequency, and we would appreciate it that the frequency is in use, sir. Thank you. Boy, he's a strange one. I mean, I guess he can't hear me. Wonder why it is that I could hear him, but he could not hear me. Must be he's running a better station, although I don't think so. Sir, this is an active frequency. Hello, hello. This is an active frequency, sir. Whoever was calling CQ, this is an active frequency. Kindly shift off at least 3 or 4 dB, KC, one way or the other. Anyway, this is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. Gosh, we're moving towards 5 o'clock, and I've become a pumpkin at 5. If there's anybody out there that would like a quick air check, give me a shout.
Whiskey
Kilo Bravo 9 Delta Echo Delta.
Delta Echo Delta. Come back with a whole call sign phonetically slowly.
Roger, roger. Kilo Bravo 9 Delta Echo Delta.
I still have this guy out there in the distance. He's, I don't know, he's a couple of cycles off frequency calling CQ. And I know, he can't hear me, but I just wonder why I can hear him. Anyway, Kilo Bravo 9 Delta Echo Delta. What's the name there, sir?
Roger, roger. Yeah, I can hear him too. He's way down in the weeds, but he's there. Handle here is Mike India Kilo Echo, and I'm in Wisconsin, central Wisconsin. And I've been listening to you for a while. It's amazing. I heard both sides of all the conversations you were having this afternoon, so I was pretty impressed with that. Go ahead.
Roger, roger. Well, I'm copying you, sir, on my 2 magnetic looped 10-foot antennas in the co-phase mode, and you're doing about 12 over, so you're doing a great job. What radio are you running, sir?
Roger, you're about to send that to me. I am running a 7300 with a PIO Pro 7 headset, and just got the radio this summer, so been having a lot of fun with it. It's a great radio.
Roger, and give me about 10 or 15 seconds, and let me look around and see if I've got any other SDRs that might have just a tad better signal, sir.
Roger.
Guys, it might have just a tad bit.
Roger.
Yeah, I need it for you to transmit so I can try to copy mail on your signal, Roger.
Oh, roger, roger, yeah. Let's see, we'll give you a wind. Roger, roger, yeah. Let's see. We'll get a storm in over the weekend and be pretty much all weekend. So, is that enough to get a reading?
Yes, sir. I went through, and I'm copying you better on my magnetic loop antennas than anywhere. So, gosh, I have a setup for that 7300 if you might be interested.
Oh, sure, go ahead. Like I said, I've just been running the thing for a couple of months now, and I've gotten good reports, but if we can tweak it, we can tweak it.
Roger. The setup starts with your compressor engaged at about a 3. Engage your compressor at about a 3, a token amount, but it does exactly what it needs to do. 3 on your compressor. Roger?
Roger, roger. That's where we're at.
All right, and then with the mic gain in hand, bring up your ALC meter and adjust your ALC meter for a mid-scale to 2/3. Adjust your mic gain for mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC meter. Roger?
Roger, roger. I'm going a little high. There we go. That's about where we want it. Maybe down another notch. Yeah, I've got about 35% on the mic gain, and it's still high. A little high. But we're doing well.
Roger, roger. So then with your mic gain, you adjust that ALC for mid-scale to 2/3, just to speak naturally. I would suggest a medium tempo of speech when you're adjusting that. If you do like one word like that, it's hard to see where that meter is actually going to sit. So if you do, set that level, set it with, just a few words, fairly quick words as you speak to get some kind of an average meter movement that you can tell more precisely where that meter is running on the ALC. Roger?
Roger, roger. it's still a little high, but I suppose it depends on how I talk. And I'm listening through the headset, of course, and I've got the monitor turned up, and I might have that a little hot too. So I could probably back that down just a couple of notches, and then that would, I think, tend to make me talk a little quieter. There we go. That looks a little better.
Roger, and what you don't want to do is run that monitor, because when you run that monitor, it discolors your audio. Even though, you know, it's not feeding back, just if you can hear it, that's enough to be introduced into your microphone to discolor your audio. Roger, Roger?
Roger, Roger. I've got to run some so I can hear it in the headset.
Roger, you can't turn your speaker monitor off and just have the audio in your headset? Well, that's a small matter. I mean, you can think about that, but it's good to not have an active loudspeaker on when you're transmitting. Hopefully you can figure out how to get that audio into your headset with your monitor speaker off. Roger?
Well, if I turn the monitor off, I have nothing. Again, the headset has nothing on it. And that drives me crazy not to be able to hear myself at least a little bit on the headset. So I got it turned down to about 15 or 15, and yeah, I've got to be able to hear myself in the headset, otherwise I don't know what I'm doing. Sounds like I'm talking in a barrel.
Roger that. Well, I would consult the book there a little bit more. I'm sure there's a way that you can have that that monitor speaker off and still get audio into your headphones for your your operation. So anyway, past that, into your equalizer, I would crank in about 3 dB more top end EQ, about 3 clicks more push on your treble EQ. Roger?
Roger. I can try that. See if I can get to have to go here and get to the scope.
Yeah, that would be transmit, sideband, tone control, treble.
Roger, I've got it set at 0 now, so we can turn it up a couple of clicks and see what it does.
Yeah, I'd go for 3. Try to get a little sibilance. Try to get a little articulation, top-end articulation on that boom mic. Roger?
I doubled with you. I've got it turned up to about +3 on the treble.
Roger. Yeah, I think that's going to help your articulation with that boom mic. Before it was kind of mid-rangey, upper mids, and it did not have much syllabic articulation. So by emphasizing about 3 clicks hotter EQ on the treble, I think you're going to have a little more definition with that boom mic. Roger?
Very good. Thanks, Jim. That any bit of, like I said, anything that we can do to help it, that would be appreciate it.
Roger, Roger. I wish I had a little bit better signal on you, but you know, Mother Nature is who she is, and we have to abide by whatever she says. It doesn't do any good to, to do those anti-rain dances or anti-bad propagation dances. We just have to accept what she says. But anyway, if you would like to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page we are running about 820 some odd QSO-VLOGs, but you'll be looking for one specific one, which is my group Aircheck 112919. It's my group Aircheck 112919. Roger?
Roger, Roger. Yeah, we can give that a listen. Sounds like it would be good to know. Get an idea. So, yeah, we'll give that a try. And you have a good evening. I'm going to
start here, maybe listen, watch a little news, and get some supper. So thanks for the help, Jim. We appreciate it, and we'll maybe catch up with you next week. Take an IDED.
Roger, Roger. Three's that way, sir. You have a real good afternoon, a great weekend. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday, and we'll compare notes. And we start at 3:30 and go live to 5, recording all the way, and then post it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So 3s for now, and we're going to jump out of here. We're been a pumpkin for about 8 minutes, so we want to thank everybody for participating. And again, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for today's QSO marked My Group Aircheck 112919. My Group Aircheck 112919. So thanks everybody for participating. We'll catch you next Friday. This is KC9VKV Clear.